Hi, I'm Eddie Lee with Transcending Me, and welcome to the series, The Singularity Code, where we've been looking at the time factor. This is my friend Ed Bondi. He is going to join us in our discussion on the time factor as it relates to the dimensions and the splits of the mind. So without getting too deep into time, how do you view time transitioning into eternity?
Well, I love the way you presented it in terms of temporal, transitional, and eternal, because that's exactly how we expand our awareness in the state of time. And time as being temporal, it is obviously temporal. Every year, every month, every week, every day, every minute, every second has a beginning and an end. So time is temporal in the sense that it's beginning and end. And anything in the world of spirit or the eternal state, we know that is the reality, and anything that is not eternal is not reality. And so knowing time begins and ends, it's born and dies, we know that we need to expand our awareness beyond time. And it's hard to do because this is where we live. This is how we perceive everything in terms of space and time. And of course, in physics, space and time are the same, are connected as one thing science calls space-time. So the same thing's true with space. You know, spatial dimensions of large and small levels of up and down, all those things are really illusions based in time, because time itself is an illusion. And that comes from the father of quantum physics 100 years ago. The name escapes me.
Planck.
Max Planck, thank you. Max Planck 100 years ago, who really was the father of quantum physics and came up with the theories that Albert Einstein took and ran with, and of course scored all of his touchdowns. So we know that's true in both spiritual teachings and in science. So we have two bases to go by there, that to the average person, that is science fiction, but it's not. It's reality. So we know that it's true that time is an illusion, right, that we create. We perceive this pseudo-reality or this virtual reality that we're in terms of time, even though it's temporal.
Absolutely. And between the years 1905 and 1912, Einstein did all of his work on time. And it was during that time, no pun intended, but during that time is when he realized that what we call the past, the present, and the future were one and the same. Mm-hmm. That there is no delineation between the past, present, and future. Consciously, we think there is, because we experience time in a linear fashion. Past bleeds right into the present, which bleeds into the future, and it seems to flow in that one direction. Einstein showed that that's just not the truth, and that time can either be sped up or it can be slowed down, or better yet, it can even be stopped. Therefore, in a sense, as we perceive time, it isn't real. What we consider time as is real. It's real for me, but my idea of time and the passage of time is different than your meaning of time and the passage of time for you. Mm-hmm. And because we don't share the same meaning, that's the illusion. It isn't unified. And that is what we're trying to break free, is to break free of our personal concept of time, transitioning to the eternal, which is ever, and always, whatever adjective that you want to use. How do you describe the eternal other than it always is, always was, and always will be? It is hard for us to understand anything that doesn't have a beginning or an end, because we're in time. All things in time have a beginning and an end. Yet that is the one thing that what I would like for you to discuss right now is, how do we move beyond thinking in terms of beginning ends, beginning ends, beginning ends?
Well, we perceive time as a linear velocity, basically, something that's moving at a constant speed. And I always have the analogy of a movie film. And on a movie film, there's a strip, and it all exists at once, that's rolled up on a reel. But if you unroll it, it all exists at one time. It has a beginning and an end, but it all exists at one time. Now, in between each frame, we don't perceive it because of the velocity that the film is moving by us. Now, velocity is measured in space divided by time. In other words, miles per hour, okay? Space divided by time. So if you take that strip of film and you divide it up and consider that each one of those frames is a piece of time, and the length of it, of course, is space, then we perceive the past frame becoming the next frame, becoming the next frame, becoming the next frame. We don't perceive the fact that they're individual frames. But in reality, it all exists at the same moment. It all exists at the same moment. It all exists at once. And so all of time, being like that, exists in eternity all at once. And that's reality.